Hi and welcome to the Arsenal Circle, here to talk to you today about all of the Game Week 2 fixtures in the group stage of the World Cup. I'm going to go straight into this, but I will say that my England video will obviously be out tomorrow when we play Wales. Hopefully we get through. But yeah, let's go straight into it. First game we have is Qatar versus Senegal. Now I do want to say, I have watched most of these matches, but there will be a few that I breeze over. And if that's your country, I am sorry. But yeah, let's go into it. Qatar versus Senegal. So I did watch this. It was a strong performance from Senegal. You know, Qatar getting their first goal of the tournament, and consequently, due to the match, are the first team eliminated from the tournament. I think this is a first in history or a second in history that this has ever happened. The host has got eliminated in the group stage, but they've done it in record timing, especially going out in 2 games. Not winning their opening games. They've broken so many records you don't want to be breaking, and that's Qatar. Senegal obviously doing the obvious thing and winning. I did predict them to top the group, which looks like it still could be a possibility, obviously, here with this result with Netherlands and Ecuador, which I will go on to in a second. So this match has given man of the match, the game has given, FootMob has given man of the match to Sabali. I don't know if I'd give it to him. He obviously had a good game, but again, this is I think it was more Qatar had a bad game than Senegal had a good game, because any team, Qatar can make any team look like Brazil. They just can. They're not that good. I mean, if we look at this, I mean, look, Qatar had more expected goals, so that that kind of says it all. I don't think Senegal played a particularly impressive game. They obviously played their game. They played a good game, and they were the better team by far. But I think it was more that Qatar weren't good rather than Senegal were. Let's move on swiftly, as I was saying. So Netherlands versus Ecuador, 1-1, a really good result for Ecuador. And I will have to say, Ecuador don't look like a bad team. I believe, Enner Valencia did score in this one. Gakpo as well. Gakpo's on fire, isn't he? He's probably the best player in the Dutch league right now. But yes, Enner Valencia also scoring, and De Jong getting man of the match in this one. But what I find interesting is now, if I got the group somewhere, here we go. Right, let's get up the full table, right? So if we look at the group, it gets to a point where Senegal could be knocked out if Ecuador can get a result from Netherlands, or... No, sorry, Netherlands could be knocked out if Ecuador get a result from Netherlands. It's all down to that game. I think Senegal will obviously... Oh, no. Senegal play Ecuador, don't they? Oh, shit. Sorry. I've completely messed that up. Anyway, sorry. Ecuador play Senegal, so it's really down to those 2 teams who goes through. Netherlands have basically solidified their spot, but maybe not at the top. Qatar have nothing to play for, yes, but they'll want to give their fans something. Maybe they'll pull off a draw against Netherlands, and my prediction will come true, and Senegal will top the group, or maybe I'll look like a mug and they won't even get through. But that remains to be seen. I think Ecuador definitely have the ability to go through. I mean, I've watched them play, and they don't look like they're 44th in the world. They look like quite a decent team. They look like a unit, right? They're all playing together, they're playing well, and it's not the best football you'll ever see. I mean, I didn't realise that. I mean, it's not the best football you ever see, but it is, they're doing the job. And as you can see, they actually dominated this game against Netherlands. I didn't realise it was that dominant. When you're watching the game, you don't notice it being that heavily Ecuador, but it was. But I guess a lot of that would have been fighting for this goal here. But in general, Ecuador did score 2 goals. There was one ruled out, and Ecuador played a great game. I have to be honest. I did. I watched them play and like the way they play, and I'm gonna back them to go through now. I'm gonna say Ecuador will go through with Netherlands. Ecuador will, I think, probably draw with Senegal, but that will be enough off of goal difference. So yeah, up the Ecuador. Let's move on to the next group so I don't dwell on those groups for ages. We have Wales versus Iran. A very, very convincing win, I'd like to say, from Iran, even though it kind of wasn't an early goal disallowed. I think Iran were the better team for most of the game, but they did end up getting both their goals, 90+8 and 90+11, in the latter parts of the game. I mean, if we look down here, we have the expected goals in Iran's favours, and just in general, the stats are in Iran's favour. And I think I'd agree with the stats in saying like that is how the game was. In perspective for the group, it means Iran have to beat USA have to beat Iran to go through the group, and it's still possible that we don't go through. No, sorry, it's not possible that we don't go through. Sorry, it's still possible that we don't top the group, right? So, fingers crossed there. I personally want Iran to beat USA, and then we have no worries. But anything could happen in football, and I do think Iran have the quality to go through. They do look like a good team. Again, ranking them below Wales is actually quite interesting. I'm surprised Wales are actually that high up. But, a red card to Wayne Hennessy is really what caused it all, and it was a red card. He's just booted him in the head. It's just a silly challenge, and then Danny Ward comes on, and they're missing a midfielder, and I really do think that changed the game. When Aaron Ramsey came off, they really looked like they lacked something in the midfield, and I know I'm not just saying that because he used to play for Arsenal, but it did seem like they were able to penetrate the defence after that, and they got their goal. Taremi getting man of the match here, but the goal's actually going to, forgive me if I say this wrong, Razane, and a bench player, I believe. Yes, Cheshmi. He was on the bench. He was. And yeah, he came on. He did his bits. And you know what? Big result for Iran. It does mean that Wales, oh no, Wales aren't the second team. Wales can technically still go through. That's a good thing about our group. Any team can still go through, which is good. All of the three teams, I mean, we're already through, but all the other three teams can go through. Actually, I should rephrase. I believe it is possible that we don't go through if we lose something like 5-0 to Wales. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure we're through. But yeah, let's go on to that. Let's talk about the England-USA game. Wow, this game was really, really disappointing. Matt Turner getting man of the match, I think rightly so. I have talked about this more in depth, so if you want to hear my rant about it, it's probably the last video on the channel. And quite a disappointing game. I think these three let us down quite a lot, and you know what, it's a rivalry, we're meant to fight for it, and we didn't. I wasn't impressed with it, and as you can see, for the group it means a lot. And to be fair, the game was really stale. Like, the XG's really not leaning either way. Neither are the shots, neither are the chances. Just very, very evenly matched game. And I will mention this Harry Kane header because that was atrocious. But yeah, I'll skip over this one quickly now. On to Poland versus Saudi Arabia. Now, big result for Poland because Saudi Arabia weren't able to capitalise on their form against Argentina, and Poland were able to slot two past them. Now, I think this is big because it does mean that Poland are now likely to go through the group, getting a draw in their first game with Mexico, and then beating Saudi Arabia. They are topping their group right now. I'm pretty sure they might be through it. They're in the same situation as us, but they have Argentina next. So it could be interesting to see if Saudi Arabia are able to beat Mexico, that Poland will get knocked out, or if Mexico beat Saudi Arabia by a big number, Mexico can still go through. Any team can still go through that group. It does look like Mexico will be knocked out. Obviously, Lewandowski getting the man of the match, that is deserved. He got his goal and assist, of course. Trying to think of any big performance. Yeah, Szczesny did have a good game. So I'd agree with that. I mean, yes, there was a missed penalty from Saudi Arabia. I did forget to mention that. It was a shocker, wasn't it? Wasn't a great penalty, and it got saved. So that's the one I forgot. That's one of the reasons that Schnezi had such a good match. He did save a penalty, and it was a double save as well. And he did look good throughout the match. He really kept Poland in it, and I thought Poland had a great game. So fair enough to them. What it means for the group, the same group, Argentina versus Mexico, 2-0 to Argentina. Messi and Fernandez on the score sheet. I think it was just a convincing win from Argentina. They were the better team throughout the game. Messi getting the man of the match, of course, because of his goal and assist. Pretty similar game to the last game. I mean, this game, though, as you can see from the less stats down here, very boring. I didn't really enjoy watching this match. It was quite dry, and for lots of it, I wasn't even watching it at some points because I just, you know, it wasn't the most entertaining piece of television you've ever seen, and you know that is evident. But it was a decent game overall. You know, you look back at it, and it's a big win for Argentina because it means they're not out. Because if Mexico win here, I think Argentina are basically out of the group. You know, and yeah, as you can see, strong performances all around, and sweet performances all around from Mexico. Argentina were the better team, and it wasn't a great game, but they deserve to win. So let's move on to Tunisia versus Australia. Big win for the Aussies, and now they sit top of their not top of their group, second in their group with France. And if they are able to get any points off of Denmark, are through. Will they do it? No, they won't, but that's just my prediction. But it is possible for Australia still to top the group, and it is possible for Australia to not get through the group. So, you know, this is a big one against Tunisia. They do play Denmark next. And that will decide who goes through the group. So a big game there. Matthew Ryan getting man of the match in this one. I think I'd agree with that. Again, FootMob is pretty spot on with their man of the matches most of the time, and I did watch the match, and Ryan had a good game. Yeah, a good game. Duke obviously with the singular goal, but this is what you will see, is that the stats go in Tunisia's favour. But I will say, stats don't always dictate football, don't tell you the full result. And you know what, Australia also played a good game and deserved their win, in my opinion, because obviously look, they've scored early on. Tunisia have now taken control of the game and going to win. And obviously this was a nice moment with the celebration with his son. Let's move on to France versus Denmark now. So France does Denmark. A 2-1 win to France. I thought it was a convincing win. Well, when I say convincing, I mean they deserve to win. They were the better team. However, it wasn't convincing in the sense that big scoreline. It was convincing in the sense that they were the better team. They deserved to win. And a 2-1 win over Denmark. They deserved the points there. I think Denmark did put up a good game, though. They did look at some points like they were maybe going to sneak some points off of France. But, you know, that just wasn't the case in the end. I mean, as you can see, obviously, from the stats, it was a heavily France-dominated game. I don't think the stats are lying here. But, you know, man of the match for Mbappe, obviously, with 2 goals. He is incredible. Obviously, I'm not a massive fan of the Ligue 1, and I don't watch loads and loads of Ligue 1. I do watch a bit of PSG when I can, especially, obviously, in the Champions League. But when you watch this guy, you're probably looking at Mbappe. Over the last 2 games I've watched, he's so quick, and he is a really, really good player. So, yeah, big props to Mbappe. Obviously, good game from Griezmann as well, getting the assist. Lloris, man, I don't get why he starts in goal for France. Why? I know Mainan's injured, but Lloris, this has to be his last World Cup. He's not that good. I'm sorry to break it to him. But, yeah, generally just quite a good performance from Denmark, but it just wasn't quite enough. And there was times it felt like they were going to get something, but they kind of let it slip. And, in the end, 2-1 to France. Let's move on to the next game and the next group. Costa Rica versus Japan. Oh my god. I've actually I wrote stuff down about this game because I was watching it live, and I was so bemused by what I was witnessing. So I've said both teams looked very good. Costa Rica looked strong on their left hand side, and that Japan front three looked promising, but they didn't get the job done. And I mean, I think it says, oh, I mean, well, Footbin haven't got a front three here, but it kind of was a front three from Japan, I would say. Yeah, no, but I think the Japan front three, they were getting a lot of chances, but they kept losing the ball, and it looked like a lot of times they could go in there and get something from it, but in the end, they just kind of didn't, and wow, they've actually really lowly rated Canada there. They've given the man of match to Fuller. I think that's just because he got the goal, but, you know, again, Keylor Navas could have easily got the man of the match again. Oviedo could have got the man of the match. Tajeda could have got man of the match. A lot of these players playing very good games. I mean, again, if we look at the group, this is a big win for Costa Rica, because it means now if they can upset Germany, that they will go through the group if Japan fail to beat Spain. Which, you know, I still don't think Costa Rica will go through the group, but this keeps the possibility open. And if it's a big blow for Japan, because if Japan won this, they're through the group, and they would have been sitting top of the group, but they didn't. They didn't get the job done, and you know, this is a big mistake for Japan, and it's a big win for Costa Rica. As I say, Japan were the better team, as you can see, but I did think, you know, fair enough to Costa Rica. They kind of deserved it. You know, if you're able to win a game where you're getting this heavily dominated, don't you deserve that win? Yeah, there's some instances where that may not be the case, but in this instance, it definitely was. And it wasn't like a last-minute goal. It was late on in the game, but I think Japan just switched off, and you know, Costa Rica got the result that they desired, and fair enough to them for that. We also have. Let's go on to the next step. We've got Spain, Germany. Now, this is interesting because Spain didn't get the win, they're not through the group yet. And because Germany didn't get the win, they are not out of the group. I mean, and because Germany got the draw, they're not out of the group yet. But if they'd won, they would have been in a lot better position, obviously. You know, they had to get one late on to win it. A goal ruled out early. Definitely not the confidence. You could kind of see that in the start of the second half. Jordi Alba getting the man of the match here, which is interesting. I mean, fair enough. I don't know if I'd go with that, but as you can see, Germany actually played the better game here, but it was more Spain dominated on the ball. Which, yeah, I mean, I'd say that reflects the game. I mean, they are statistics for a reason, and they do usually tell the truth. So, yeah, I'd say that reflects the game. It was a bit like that, and both teams wanted the win in this game, but well, as every game. But I feel like both teams kind of needed the win for some inspiration, I guess. You know, Spain needed it to have that in the head that they can beat big teams going into the round of 16. And I think Germany needed it just to convince themselves that they can still go through the group. And obviously they can. And I do still think that Germany probably will. I think they'll beat Costa Rica and Spain will beat Japan. And then, you know, oh no, Germany's through. But I would love it if Costa Rica got some points off Germany and Spain beat Japan or something and Costa Rica got through. I would love it if Costa Rica got through. I think after their performance against Japan, they kind of deserve it. But obviously that is an unlikely possibility. You know, I am kind of rambling right now, but I don't know. I didn't feel too convinced with either side. I have to reiterate that Neuer is you know, one of the best keepers of all time, in my opinion, the best keeper of all time. But the better keepers don't always have the best of games, and you can see that from FootMob's rating here. But I don't think he had a good game in general. He did let in a goal, obviously let in a goal, but yeah, not a great game from Neuer. And you know, the rest of the German side, look, it says here that they did it all pretty well, but they're in the greens, but they're low greens, man. They just kind of distinctly average, if I'm being honest, for a team like Germany. Let's move on to Belgium, Morocco, and oh my god, I called it. I said Morocco are going through this group, and they've beaten Belgium 2-0, and now they sit second of the group, only behind Croatia, on the same points, above Belgium. Belgium could be getting knocked out. you know, it was a big performance from Morocco, and I think they deserve their win. Look at it, man. They were the better team on the day, and I'd have to completely agree with that. Saiss getting man of the match. He obviously got a goal, and he defended brilliantly this game, as did the whole Moroccan defense and Munir, their keeper. Obviously, Enyezri getting subbed off. He wasn't having a great game, but Hakim Ziyech with the assist. I think he didn't have a great game either, but I can't remember this much fully in my head. I'm pretty sure he didn't have the best of games, but he did get that assist. And Courtois, obviously, with the lowest rating there. But it says a lot when Morocco are beating Belgium 2-0. I do think people underestimate African teams, and I know the first game week was dominated by the stories of all of the Asian teams. I think the second game week is now dominated by the stories of all of the African teams. I mean, look, Qatar, Senegal won. Forgive me if I miss any. I mean, obviously Tunisia lost to Australia, but we have this Moroccan victory. We have the Cameroon result against Serbia, and we have this Ghana result, which I will go on to. But I do think people underestimate the African teams, and I do think that 3 out of 5, I believe, there's African teams 5. I think 3 out of 5 will go through. The 2 not going through being Cameroon and Tunisia, in my opinion. But I have just rambled. But again, a big performance from Morocco. They played so well. I feel Moroccan in my soul. I don't know why, because since before the tournament, I've just been predicting them to go through. Obviously, I'm waffling. I have no relevance to Morocco at all. I just like a lot of their players. I like Enyezri. I like Hakimi. I like Bunu. I don't know why he wasn't playing. I think he was injured. But I do like a lot of the Moroccan players. Fair enough. I don't know. I am waffling now. But yeah, very happy that they won on that game. Let's move on to the other 2 teams in their group before I go on a massive waffle. Canada scoring the fastest goal of the tournament, and then also getting knocked out in the same game. A big performance from Croatia. I have also written down some things from this game. I only wrote stuff down when I remembered to. I do think that Croatia had a valiant effort, and they looked. Canada had a valiant effort, and they looked really strong at times. Obviously, Davies was on fire. He had a really good game. He was really fast. He is really fast, but he looked it as well. And the wingers, wingers in Canada were pretty good, but I think I'm getting my C's mixed up. I think where Croatia won the game is because they took control of the game and they managed the game very well and hit Canada on the break often at times. And Kramaric getting man of the match, obviously with 2 goals, but Perisic also with 2 assists, not to be overlooked. And Kovacic, I believe, should have got man of the match. He had a brilliant game in midfield. Sometimes it's not all about goals and assists, and I know you're going to give the man of the match to the guy with 2 goals or 2 assists, but Kovacic, underrated shout there. As you can see, an 8.5 rating without a goal contribution is pretty good. Livakovic, I know he's got not terrible rating here, but I don't think he had the best of games. I don't think he's an incredible keeper, but look, it's not like Canada didn't get a look in. 8 shots in total, and a 0.45 xG. So it wasn't a terrible game, but it does mean that they're out of the group, and Croatia are now sitting top of the group, looking in a very convincing position. But what has to happen now for Croatia is they have to beat Belgium. They have to beat Belgium, which is unlikely to happen, right? I think, Croatia, Belgium, I think that it could happen. But if Belgium are able to beat Croatia there and Morocco are able to beat Canada, it could be looking bleak for Croatia. So it's a big win, but now they're relying on other results. So I guess their own as well, because if they pick up points against Belgium, they're through. But I don't think they will go through. That's just my take. Let's move on. Cameroon, Serbia. Before I spend too long on each fixture. Cameroon, Serbia, 3-3. This is match of the game week, the kind of game week. It was such a good game. A very, very intense back and forth game. Both teams looked like they could win it. Serbia scoring all their goals in a concentrated amount of time. And, you know, it was 1-0 to Cameroon, and then you just saw, I remember, this is one of the games that I wasn't able to watch straight away, but I did go back and watch it because I saw 3-3, and you're like, oh my god. But, you know, I'm sitting down, and I'm 1 minute it's 1-0, and then the next minute it's 3-1 Serbia, and you're like, what's happened? It was such a good game. Zivkovic of Serbia got the man of the match. I do think he had a good game. I also think Milinkovic-Savic had a good game, not the keeper. And yeah, obviously from centre back getting a goal and assist is pretty impressive. Choupo-Moting, obviously he did look good in the front. To be honest with you, I don't know much of the rest of the Cameroonian side, and I didn't think they had. Bro, how do you get an assist and get a 5.8 rating? You must have had a stinker. I mean, look, I'm not going to go insulting either team, because I thought both teams were very impressive. Look at this. The stats, you know, you can argue they're in favour of either way. It was a very, very good, very close game, and either team could have won it. But do I think either team will go through? No, because both teams needed a win from this match, and neither team got it. Serbia especially, because most people were predicting Serbia to go through, I think. Right, over Switzerland, and now they're in a position where they play Switzerland, and it's a must-win. But to be fair, I think no matter what the result, no matter what, Cameroon were out, and the result was coming down to Serbia versus Switzerland. But you know, if somehow Cameroon can do a Mazas and pull off a 2-0 win against Brazil, and win on goal difference over Switzerland and Serbia, if they draw, then fair enough to them. It's still possible for Cameroon. I don't think it will happen. I think they needed to win here if they wanted to keep that possibility alive, and I think Serbia needed to win here for the motivation, but neither of those things happened. But fair enough to both teams. It was good efforts, and yeah, I mean, I think both of them are out now. But they have played match of the tournament so far. Let's move on to Brazil versus Switzerland. I think Switzerland were very, very unfortunate not to get anything from this game, not to get a point. But Brazil were the better team, and it was a really good goal from Casemiro. I was able to watch this game. It was live, I mean. It was a very good game. It could have gone either way, and it looked like it would be another 0-0. But it wasn't. Obviously, Brazil were the dominant team, as they are with most games, as you can see. But I do think that there was elements of Switzerland that, you know, they looked like they could get a goal in there somewhere, maybe get something from the game. I thought Kanji and Elvedi looked pretty good as a duo alongside Sommer, and you know, Xhaka as captain's always making me proud as an Arsenal fan. He did say something like he was going to destroy Brazil before the match. That didn't happen. Vinicius got an offside goal, but he does look deadly on the left, doesn't he? Vinicius Jr. He's really a force to be reckoned with, and I think he'll be up there with the Haalands and the Mbappes when it's all said and done. He'll be like the Neymar behind the two big players. But I do think Switzerland won't worry too much about this result, because I think every team's going to lose to Brazil, and well, I mean, Serbia already lost to Brazil, so that meant any points here was just a bonus for them. But it does mean that now they have to go into that Serbia game getting points. But I think they can do that, and you know, I think Switzerland will go through. And even though they didn't get anything from this game, it was convincing enough to make me believe that they go through the group. You know what I mean? Let's move on to the final group and the final two games. Ghana, South Korea. Big up Thomas Partey's, man. Ghana beating South Korea is a big result, because it did kind of come down to this. Either team, whoever wins here, you know, whoever loses here is kind of out of the conversation. I mean, look at the group, right? Second and third, you know, and Uruguay obviously lost to Portugal. So now it does come down to Ghana versus Uruguay, whoever gets the points there. And I think Ghana can do it. Ghana, can I say, Ghana looked incredible. Salisu had a good game. He obviously got a goal. But Mohamed Kudus, this guy is going so under the radar. It's incredible. This guy, I swear he scored like 4 goals in the World Cup already. He is really, really something. And, you know, Kim wasn't a match for him today. The keeper, Kim. Yeah, no, so I will say Kudus needs to be recognised more, needs to be talked in the picture with the Cody Gakpos to go to some big club, because he does deserve that. He is a brilliant player, and I would love him at Arsenal, 100%. Obviously, our boy Partey also having a good game, playing a vital role in this victory, controlling the midfield. Inaki Williams having an important role, and the keeper, obviously. Cho got a brace. When I saw he scored 2, you know, obviously Ghana were 2 up. Ghana were 2 up, and then in the space of 3 minutes, Cho scored 2 goals. And you're like, oh, this could be a good game. No, Kudus gets another, and they saw out the game. Fair enough to Ghana. I was very happy that they won. There was a red card incident at the end of the game. I wasn't... Oh, the manager. I wasn't watching at that point. But, yeah. You know, big win from Ghana. As you can see, like, the South Korea really put them up against it. And I do think that South Korea are an underrated team and underappreciated. And people aren't going to understand how big of a win this is for Ghana. Look at their ranking in the FIFA World Ranking, 61, and I think both South Korea and Ghana are too low. I think South Korea should be somewhere more around the 20s and Ghana more around the 30s, and I do think that this win does show that Ghana aren't a terrible nation. I mean, look at some of their names here: Inaki Williams, Amati, Salisu, Thomas Partey, Lamptey, Kudus, Ayew. You know, so you know these players, you know that they're ballers, and you know. Big up to Ghana today. They not today, but I think it's yesterday now. They fully deserved their win against South Korea. And finally, Portugal versus Uruguay. Almost did a speed at Fernandez brace. This is the most recent one in the memory, I guess. Yeah, so the first goal was originally credited to Ronaldo, and then Bruno Fernandes did get the goal because Ronaldo just didn't touch it. And the second goal was a Fernandes penalty, so obviously he's going to get the man of the match. And again, it's a really good performance on the international level for Bruno Fernandes. And, you know, a pretty lackluster performance from Uruguay, I'd say. I mean, they didn't play terrible, but they weren't great. I mean, look at this. It's a sea of oranges apart from Bentancur, who had a chance that he probably should have scored and missed it. It was a really good chance. Just unfortunate not to score there. Cancelo, I thought, had quite a good match. And same with a lot of Portuguese players. And Portugal are now also through the group. They did play the better game, but, you know, again, this is why I'm going to come back to my point of lackluster Uruguay. They didn't play terrible, but look, you know, they had chances, but they just didn't take them, and they never looked like they were going to score, if you ask me. And it does mean that they sit bottom of the group now, and I don't think they're going to get through. I really don't think it's likely for them to get through unless they beat I think it's Ghana. They're playing Ghana, right? Unless they beat Ghana and Portugal beat South Korea, it's not going to happen. And that's unlikely circumstances. That's not just going to happen. I don't want to waffle for too much longer because this video is probably long enough already. But I did just want to go over and talk about all the matches, and I obviously have now done that. So this last match week that's going to start tomorrow is going to be very interesting. I will obviously be making my final match week review and also my predictions for the group stages for the round of 16. I'm very, very excited to see England go through. Hopefully a convincing 3-0 Saka hat-trick win. And hopefully Phil Foden starts. And Ben White, why not? Start him, man. We're through the group anyway. Anyway, let me know what the most surprising performance of the game week is. I'm going to say... You know, I just think this is... No. What am I doing? This has to be. Morocco 2-1 Belgium. I think this was the best, the most surprising result of the week. But... yeah, let me know what you thought about this game week. Is any country underrated, overrated? Let me know in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.